Good afternoon, everybody. Christine Barconi here in the NBC4 Streaming Center, joined by Matt Habash from Mid-Ohio Food Collective. And we have a really special project here at NBC4 for the month of September. We are teaming up with the Food Collective for Hunger Action Month. It's actually part of a bigger thing our parent company, Nexstar, is doing with Feeding America. But that means right here in Central Ohio, NBC4 and the Food Collective, and we work together several times, are teaming up for the month to just kind of explain Hunger Action Month to us, Matt. And thank you so much for partnering with us once again.
Well, thank you, and thank Nexstar for doing this, across the nation. Hunger Action Month's a campaign to raise awareness about food insecurity. All the food banks in the Feeding America network, all 200 of them participate in Hunger Action Month. So it's really about raising awareness. It's about letting people know that there are people struggling, need help, and that there are places for people to get involved to help those that are food insecure.
What are some of the key points that you think people should take away from knowing that there is food insecurity out there, and it is a lot more common than you think?
Well, we found that out during the pandemic, but I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
When we think about it, our theme really for this year is a food perspective. Food is something we all need. It's critical to survival. Your lived experiences, think about the zip code you live in, the income you receive, the status of your health, the kind of access you had to a quality education, your race, and your network of support, all shape your point of view on food. In a nutshell, the food perspective is where life and food intersect. For us, food perspectives help us better understand. We become more informed, and we then are better able to individually address the root causes of hunger and food insecurity.
What is food perspective? When you use that term, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it really means that, that at the end of the day, that, food and life intersect around food, and your perspective, every one of us have a perspective about what food means to us. If you've got plenty, as one of our board members likes to say, if you're sitting around the dinner table and the only thing you're thinking about is where my next meal is coming from, the subjects you talk about are pretty limited. The rest of us can gather around a dinner table and have a lot of conversations. It's all shaped by what your own personal circumstances are, and unfortunately, there's a lot of folks that need help right now.
You said that the pandemic definitely impacted that, and we saw it really tugged at a lot of people's heartstrings. The drone or the helicopter footage of the lines and lines at the food banks whenever things shut down and people didn't have their 9 to 5. You realized how many people were living paycheck to paycheck and had to really rely on you guys during the pandemic.
Absolutely. I mean, between March of 2020 and August 31 of 21, we've had more than 230,000 unique families make more than 1.6 million visits to our partner agencies. The amazing statistic in all of that is 34% of those families were coming to get help for the very first time.
Wow.
Never had to ask for help before. That's the impact of the pandemic. And it's going to take a long time to come out of this. I mean, as people struggle to put back their budgets together, as they pay off the debt that they've incurred, as they find a new job, a better paying job, all of those things are going to take time. So we know we're going to have food insecurity for a very long time.
Certainly. It's not just people, and I kind of touched on this a little bit. It's not people who are homeless or downtrodden, and you can't pay your bills. It's a lot more common than you would think. Can you talk about that and the statistics on food insecurity in America and in Central Ohio?
Absolutely. I think when you think about it, this is your neighbors. When we think about hunger, and food insecurity in Central Ohio, we really understand that it's all everywhere. I mean, I can show you hunger statistics in New Albany and Worthington and Westerville and Hilliard and up in Delaware County, places that you would never think, that hunger exists. But the reality of it is everybody was affected by that pandemic. You never know when your neighbor doesn't have enough to eat because of their personal circumstances. So as a result, we're seeing more people than we've ever seen before. We're seeing families that we've never seen before. That's going on all over the country. And now just think what's going on in New Orleans right now, or in Tennessee, or in places where we're having these natural disasters on top of the pandemic disaster. It just adds to people that are food insecure.
Certainly. Obviously your clients went up, the number of people you served went up during the pandemic, but at the same time your volunteers likely went down, because you think of volunteers, it might be retired people, older people, time people with a little bit more time on their hands. How has the pandemic impacted you guys that way as well?
Well, almost immediately last March, we lost all of our volunteers. And in any given year, we have over 13,000 people volunteer and help us, putting in over 70 plus thousand hours of volunteer time. So we were knowing we had to change, knowing we had to adapt. But we also were fortunate that the governor stepped up when we asked for help from the National Guard. So from March through up the 4th of July weekend, we had the National Guard helping us while we couldn't have volunteers in. So and now we're asking people to come back. We need the volunteers, more than ever. The Guard is no longer here. So for folks that are vaccinated and want to get out, we have a lot of very safe practices for people to come in and pack food or work in our food pantry or help out in our farm or help one of our partner agencies. Everybody requires masks and social distancing, trying to keep the volunteers and customers safe as well. Our pantry uses a drive-through model for on site so that we can reduce contact. And we're really looking for people to step up, to fill the shoes of those soldiers who stepped in for all those months to make sure that nobody in our community went hungry.
Yeah, and I think it's important to emphasize the safety aspect of it there. What are some of the changes to volunteering that you guys have made, just kind of maybe reaching out to those senior citizens who had to step back or maybe want to come back right now? How can you secure them, make them think, rest easy that they would be safe there volunteering?
Well, when you think about it, I mean, we've made sure that, we've had to make sure that we were safe the whole time. Unfortunately, we have not had to close our building for one day, during the entire pandemic. We put in a lot of extra cleaning, a lot of extra safety protocols, distancing protocols, mask wearing, et cetera. Well, we're doing the same thing with all of our packing operations. We're doing our best to keep people, socially distanced. We're asking everybody to wear masks. And it's important because a lot of almost half our volunteers are corporate volunteers. And when all the corporations said stay home, we had, that made this problem equally challenging. And they're beginning to come back. So we're saying, come with your pod, the people you've been socializing with, so that the group of people that you're working with, are people you already know, they're safe, and we're really trying to encourage that. To say, with the group that you're working with, that you're around all the time, those are the people you want to, to come together and do this. And we're having some success in getting folks to do that. We're going to need a lot of help. The numbers, are still high. Yeah. We need a lot of packing operations. We opened our pantry 40 hours a week on site, so we have a lot of volunteer hour opportunities.
So obviously, as we head into fall, today is September 1st. We're talking about Hunger Action Month and really getting the awareness out there as far as people who are food insecure towards later in the years, when we really start thinking about asking for those donations. So a thought maybe would be to start thinking about your November, your December donations, and budgeting that out, because you guys do a lot of promotional things in December, including the Double Your Donation Day and different things like that. Would you mind touching on that a little bit as people plan out the rest of the year, and those who are fortunate enough to give those donations at the end of the year, why they should consider the Food Collective?
Well, I really would hope that people realize, first and most of all, the pandemic's not gone. We're suffering through the effects of the Delta and the variant and the resurgence of cases. It's going to continue. But for people's lives that were disrupted by this, what we found out during the pandemic was that the statistics were true in terms of 40% of America cannot pay a $400 emergency bill, or 40% of America was making less than $15 an hour, kind of thing. People are living on the edge, and disruptions in your budget go a long way to impacting all the things we all need to survive. And what we're telling people is we have food, so please, take advantage of it. But to our donors that have been so supportive during this pandemic, we raise a lot of our money, like a lot of other not-for-profit human service organizations, from about November to January. That's the giving season. And we're asking people to realize we're in this for several years to really get back. We have experience with this, from the last shutdown due to the economy and the recession back in 08, 9, 10. And so we know this is going to take years for people to recover. So we're asking people to stay with us, to continue to support the needs so that people get access to food, so that they can spend their limited resource dollars on other issues. We got a big issue with evictions and rent. As you're going back to school and school supplies, all those things impact the budget. And we're saying, look, food is right there, but if we can continue to help people with food, then they could use their limited resources to pay for those other bills that they have to live.
One last thing I want to touch on, Matt. I'm always so impressed with how you guys can stretch a dollar, and those monetary donations are really what you need because you do partner with, large grocery stores and farmers and different things like that to really drive the cost down so you guys can be cost effective whenever you're purchasing your food. Can you talk about that and tell everybody how you guys do that?
Sure. I mean, food banking was founded on the principle of taking the excess surplus food in this country, food that was not going to be sold in the grocery stores, capturing that food and making that available. So originally, a lot of it was donated food, but as I tell everybody, donated is not free when it comes to moving it across the country or moving it, to one of our 680 partners in 20 counties. So there are some expenses. But we've, over the last decade, we've really tapped into fresh food. So we're helping farmers get it out of the field, but we're not paying market rate for all the produce that we in. So in the world of food banking, the last thing we want to do is go into the marketplace and pay market rate.
Yeah.
So everything we do is on a discounted basis, on a free basis. Consequently, somebody donates $1 for us, we're able to stretch it into a lot more food. It's about 9 meals for every dollar that's donated to us. So we can stretch it because, and we're also doing a great thing, tapping into the surplus food in this country and having amazing health outcomes by getting people regular access to fresh, healthy food.
Absolutely. Matt, anything else that you would like to add about Hunger Action Month that we have not touched on?
Well, if anybody needs any information, as of today, we've launched our new website. We've changed our logo. I mean, it's mofc.org to the marker for that. I would encourage everybody to go to that. If you need help, it tells you exactly how to get help. You can put in your zip code and find the closest food pantry. For us, it really is about making sure that extreme makeover that we just did not only features a smart fresh feel, but a dedicated focus in making sure all of our customers can access the right food at the right time in the right place. It's real easy to navigate. Again, it's mofc.org, and it's got a wealth of help for people that need food and for people that want to help volunteer or donate.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we'll also put all of that information on NBC4i.com. Stay with NBC4 throughout the month of September as we continue to partner with the Mid Ohio Food Collective for Hunger Action Month. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.